Okay, you're going to want to cut up about 4 cups of celery. And the one thing to really keep in mind there is you want to slice it so that it's thin enough that when you're cooking it with the potatoes, they cook at the same rate. So I like to brown my celery just a little tiny bit prior to putting it in with the potatoes. So when you cut the potatoes, you can take the potato butt and put it off to the side. We'll cook it the same way. We'll boil it the same way, but we'll put it off to the side after it's boiled, and we can use it to thicken the base of the soup if it's not thick enough once it's all come together. Reduce enough. And the same thing with the potatoes. You want to make sure you cut them in a size that will cook evenly with the celery. Celery. So you don't have to be exact, but it's just I've done it where I have a great big piece of potato and a little piece of celery, and the potato's not cooked at all, and the celery's mushy. That's not good. It's very important that you use sweet onions. I think. I actually like it a little bit sweeter in general, but you'll get some sweetness from the onion just when you're making with a regular yellow onion. But your grandma and I have always made it with sweet onions. And I usually chop them. Actually, when I used to make it for you too, I would actually strain the onions out. So I would cut them really small anyway, but I would end up straining them out because you don't really like the onions. I did the same thing with the white sauce, but anyway, um, so I cut them about like that, about a quarter inch maybe, or not quite a mince, but pretty close. So you're going to have about 2 cups celery, 4 cups of potatoes plus the little potato butts, salt, regular salt, Himalayan if you want to be cool, black pepper, 5 cans of evaporated milk. I've used goat milk for you girls before. It's got a little different texture, but you can't tell the difference really. Full stick of butter. Do not skimp on the butter. Full stick of butter. And this. So what I do is I like to start with a little bit of the veggie bouillon and kind of check the saltiness from there, and then add the salt later. Don't add the salt until the very end. And then about as much onion as you have potatoes, I think is a pretty good rule of thumb for this. So, okay, let's put it together. I like to use the Dutch oven. It just heats evenly, as I'm sure you both know. Enough olive oil to coat the bottom, plus a little tiny bit. I'm going to start with the celery. I just turned the oven on, otherwise you'd hear it all crispy and sizzling right now. We'll let that go for enough to get it started, and then we'll put the onion in, let that brown, pepper, then we add the butter because we don't want the butter to burn while this is browning, and then we'll go from there. Add the onion. Want it to brown just a little bit. Don't need to get crazy. Maybe you do because it'll caramelize the onions a little bit if you do brown it longer. But silly thing I have with potato soup is I don't want it to be too yellow. Okay, once the oil gets warm, you put the celery in, put the onions in, and let them brown for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 minutes. not too brown because we don't want them to get, we don't want them to burn because if they burn, I like the way they taste when they're a little bit toasted, but I don't like that they turn the potato soup a little yellow. Um, yeah, little thing I have. Anyway, so we want to start there. Not a bad time to throw some pepper in there too. That's more than I used to give you girls. You weren't exactly fans of pepper. And the butter. Um, let that go to about that. It starts to kind of get a little pasty when the butter breaks down a little bit and the onions start to soften, and that's kind of my go. They start getting pasty like that. And then I'm going to throw the potatoes in and little potato butts. Whoops, run away. Okay, what I'm going to do now is put some water in there and we'll let it soften with the water. We want to put as little water as possible in it because we don't want to have to, we want to save the potato in the water to thicken it. So I just try to put a little bit on the top, just enough to keep it, you know, simmering where it'll cook, and then reduce down just to right where I want before I put the milk in. And this is where I put in the the bouillon. So this bouillon you're supposed to put in a teaspoon per cup for regular broth, but I do a heaping teaspoon into 4 cups. Maybe I'll put 2 in there. I think I'll put 2 in there. The water's not very warm. Okay, put it here. So I'm going to put 2 teaspoons in with the 4 cups of water. So figure half. You can do that to taste, whatever that is. And that we're going to cook, I don't know, it's been a long time since I've done this soup, so I'm trying to remember some of this off the top, and I'm going to write it down in the recipe spreadsheet, and that's going to be our baseline. But I always just kind of wing it when I'm doing it anyway, you know that. Um, so anyway, maybe, let's say, we'll start with 15 minutes and go from there. 15 minutes was perfect. And I do it with the lid off because I want it to reduce, just so it's a little more concentrated. I am going to put where is it? A couple more teaspoons of bouillon in there because it's not quite where I want it. So those are heaping. So you can see the potatoes are about half, maybe half done, which is good because we have to turn the heat down when we put the milk in, otherwise it'll scald the bottom. And that is not good. I kind of feel like those need to go a little longer. I'm going to go 20 minutes. Okay, we are right at 20 minutes. I think that was perfect because we're going to probably go another 20 minutes simmering with the milk, but we have to turn it down a little bit. Take the potato butts out. All right, just throw the milk in. Funny, I said I have an issue with my potato soup not being white, and so far everything about the soup is not white because I had to have so much of the bouillon, which is why you generally don't put that much in. And maybe it's because I'm not using celery salt. Your grandma uses celery salt, and I have never done that, and I probably should. So I'm not going to put it in the recipe since I don't really know how much. But you could just put it into taste too. I could have definitely put more celery in this. Um, mm, that might be good. All right, I just put it about on maybe a low medium. Depends on the oven. I think that's going to be pretty delish. 20 minutes, medium. Medium was a little bit hot if you're going to leave the top on. I put the top on and it started to boil. So I put it on medium low, um, and I'm going to try it with the top off for a little bit, which I don't mind because I like it to reduce and just get a little more concentrated. So we'll see if medium would have been the right thing to do if it was uncovered, which I probably imagine that it is. But if you cover it, you're going to want to put it on much lower than medium so that it doesn't boil over. It didn't scald on the bottom, which is good. So I caught it in time, but medium if it's uncovered, medium low if it's covered. It's been about 20 minutes. It's not quite enough, but this is about when I would put in the potato butts. So I ate some of them because they were so good, but so I just mash it up a little bit, and then that just adds as a thickener. And I hate to admit, but I can't remember for sure which one of you liked it thick, which one of you liked it thin. I think it was Sage liked it thicker, but I can't be sure. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, so I used to use this, and then I would scoop a bowl of this or take some out, this consistency, and then thicken it. Um, so you both had what you wanted. Anyway, I think that needs to go probably a few minutes. Uh, but it cooks a lot after you shut it off too. So normally I'll check the celery if the celery's at all firm, because I don't like it that firm. But so that's my tell more than the potatoes. And that's why it's so important to get them to where they cook the same rate. So, but that's all personal preference. So have fun with it. So let it simmer about actually 35 minutes. So I'll put that in the recipe. Just follow the written recipe. But I thought 20 minutes would have been enough, but they actually broke down really well. It's still a little thin, so I would normally put some thickener in there, some more potato or whatever, but um, it always thickens a little bit on its own anyway. So we're going to try it there. As you can see, I have some leftover potatoes here. Good thing to just throw them in, fry them up, save them for later. Put a little green chili on them. I thought I'd get the big bowl. I would normally put Parmesan on this, but I don't have any Parmesan cheese. I mean, I normally put cheddar on this, but I don't have any cheddar cheese. So I am using Parmesan, which I don't know how that's going to work, but gotta have cheese, right? is always hotter than it looks. So I start with bread. Mm, yum. I love you.